little orchard up in Los Ranchos. Anybody familiar with Los Ranchos, what that is? Okay. So up in Los Ranchos, and I would just say, well, here, this tree, that tree, and show some examples. I moved here to the Albuquerque area in 2017. Prior to that, at one point I had a house in California and we had an apple tree. That was about it. So my experience wasn't all that extensive, and what I don't know will fill volumes. And this is interactive. If I say something that doesn't seem right, or if you've heard something differently, and you know what, when it comes to trees and arborists, you can ask 5 different arborists and you might get 4, maybe 5, and sometimes 6 or 7 different answers. Yeah. So it's not always clean cut and exactly this is what you do. So I just put some notes in here to just talk my way through this. And I take the Greek approach. I want to talk about earth, air, fire, and water, the 4 elements in ancient Greek. So earth, I'm not sure about the earth here. I assume it's fairly similar. We have a small orchard on about an acre. We have some apple trees that are about 70 years old. People tell me that part of Los Ranchos in the years gone by just used to be apple orchards all up and down, and you could just buy tons and tons of apples. There's lots of very familiar with the acequias all through Los Ranchos, and you have some around here. So we have an acequia right next to our house, and we, in a good year, so anyway, we're right next to acequia. We'll stay with the earth. The Rio Grande meanders back and forth over the millennia, and I can kind of tell that as I dig down into the soil. I'll find a lot of round rocks, which tells me they were tumbling around in rivers from somewhere in the Rockies and then made their way down here. So it does meander east and west. The piece of land that we are on, my wife and I own, it's been under cultivation since, I don't know, definitely Spanish colonial times, probably before then. I know that a lot of native people would farm and do agriculture along the banks of the Rio Grande. So that's the earth. The other thing is we use a lot of compost. We use mostly, when it comes to manure, I've been advised not to use cow manure because it's too salty. Like cows will have the salt lick and everything like that.
Oh, actual sodium chloride?
Actual sodium chloride, yeah.
People say salt a lot.
Yeah, it doesn't mean, that sodium, yeah.
Okay.
So I was told by a pecan farmer to use chicken manure. Chickens don't have salt licks, and I guess it's less salt. I haven't done a test and analysis of the manure, but I'll take his word for it, and I can believe that's true.
I thought chicken manure is too hot. It takes
Oh.
forever.
You have to, good point.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned a few things.
Yes. You don't just dump fresh chicken manure on a tree.
No.
I put it in a compost. I let it break down a couple months, whatever. It also depends on the time of year how quickly it'll break down. But it does give off a lot of heat. And then it breaks down. It mixed up with all the grass and the banana peels and all the other stuff we get from our kitchen. And then it's lots of sticks. And then it's ready to go around the base of my trees. The thing about when it comes to the earth and we're trying to does anybody compost around here?
Try. It's really hard.
That's, maybe we'll talk about it a little bit more. How, when you want something to decompose, my wife was a bio major undergraduate. And I said, did you have any classes or any concepts about decomposition? Were you a bio major? Did they ever talk much about decomposition?
No, because every place else it happens automatically.
Betty and I are from the same general area, to the northeast Philadelphia area, and there's plenty of humidity. So you need, for decomposition, you need air, so you got to turn it. You need the stuff to decompose, and you need water. So how do you keep things wet and have it decompose? And I've read different things about it. Go ahead.
No.
All right. Because I don't want to waste a bunch of water decomposing stuff, but I do want it to break down. So what I've done, let's go ahead and jump into it, is, here we go. I don't always do this on the bed of my truck. So what we have done, I read about this from an article that's something about Tucson, Arizona. What they've said is, well, what you do is you get it wet, And then I put these covers on it, like I have little pieces of metal from roofing. So I get it wet, or for example, the other night it rained. I try to remember before the rain comes to go out, uncover the compost, give it a couple turns, let the rain come in, it's nice and soaked, and then next morning before the sun cooks it again, I cover it up. I've got sheets of metal, a piece of old plywood or something like that over the top. I'm trying to stay away from plastic because that'll break down, and we all know I don't know about you, but especially my wife is very concerned about all the microplastics we have in our environments. So I'm trying to use the plywood and sheets of metal or something like that. That way the moisture will stay in. So earth, air, fire, water. So air, it's hot and dry, as you guys know. Occasionally we get a little bit of rain, but it's not like the Philadelphia, South Jersey area where it's a swamp and you take a shower and you never dry up. I've mentioned fire because it's the Greek thing, but it's also I did live in California for 25 years, and they get fires there. We get them here too. So far we've been lucky not to have too many in the valley. I know there's been a couple, and people near the Bosque, which I'm not too far from, have been told to get ready to leave, but we haven't had any tragedies yet. But with the winds we have and how dry it is, yeah. So I don't know if or when that will be a problem in the near future. And then the last thing, of course, is water, which we don't have enough of. And last winter's snowpack was absolutely dreadful. My wife and I like to ski, and anybody here go to the mountains in the winter or ski? Yeah. So, for example, Taos in northern New Mexico was really bad. Yeah. It was just awful. Getting to Colorado got a little bit better, but the Rio Grande watershed starts in southern Colorado. People familiar with where it starts? It's Creede, Colorado, C-R-E-E-D-E. It's a small town. If you look it up on Google Maps, you'll see the Rio Grande, and it starts just a little bit in that area. It's this big, beautiful valley in Colorado, not too far from Los Alamos. But they didn't get enough snow there either. And then rain. So the winter snowpack was dreadful. The monsoon this year was very mixed. I didn't know if people were aware of that. This is the Rio Grande. I live right near Paseo del Norte, where it crosses the river. And I take my bike, and there's a pedestrian lane all the way on the southern side. And so I just had some surgery on my knee. I can't ride I'm not allowed to ride my bike now. But so I'll occasionally put my knee up. But I did this in August before I had that surgery, and as you can see, it was a trickle. Driving down here, it looked a little better, but it sure isn't a robust. It's not the Mississippi. It's not the Susquehanna. It's not It's not the Columbia River. It's not just roaring with lots of water. And this year was really bad. However, I noticed. I just looked this up. I was curious. Again, speak up, anybody, if you have anything to add. My stepdaughter and her spouse live up in Glorieta, just past. Yeah. And the Pecos was, wow. Yeah. It was flowing just fine. Yeah.
Pecos flooded.
Yeah, it was flooding, and it was. We went there, and it was. We were going to. My stepdaughter goes swimming there sometimes. She says, "I'm gonna get swept away." Yeah. And this was in early August. Yeah, they were getting rain. So the rain patterns for this monsoon this year have been very strange. Obviously here, not so good, but in Farmington and places like that, it's been bone dry. So the other thing I have is, so rain. We get about 9 inches. Los Ranchos, I think, gets about 10 inches a year. Does anybody have rain barrels? What's your experience been with them?
They don't hold, they fill easily. They don't hold like all of the downpour. So then you have to empty them. I don't know, I mean, I don't have a cistern that might hold like thousands. And so personally, I'm like, rain barrels are fine, but directing water into the soil would be better.
Were you here when we did that here?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. We did that with. She has a rain barrel here. Anyways, we did some things. Who's that guy that did that?
That was Anthony.
From what? He was
Anthony,
from.
who's he's a mentor now. He
Lutkovich?
was, yeah, I think he was maybe the year after us in Tree Store.
Yeah, he was. But I thought he had somehow to do with the water district or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. He works for the county.
Okay.
And he
He's the
does
half of their water
GSI
management.
stuff.
Yeah, but he was showing how we could get kind of, as you're saying, channel things to the different trees.
Yeah.
And here there's plenty of room, and it was easy to do that. My wife really wanted to get rain barrels, and so we bought a bunch of rain barrels, and we have 1,200 gallons of capacity. We have several rain barrels all around. It has to rain. They don't hold anything, but when they do, it is quite a bit of water. But we have to drain it within a couple days because otherwise we'll get mosquitoes. Yeah, they have nets on top, but you'll get the skeeters. What's your experience been?
Yeah, I have one, and the way I set it up is, at the time I got my rain barrel, I was also doing passive water capture in my yard.
Mm-hmm.
So I have the overflow from the rain barrel going into a swale that goes to a rain basin.
Mm-hmm.
And I've really decided that the rain barrel itself, because of what you said, like it drains so slowly. Like I can fill up my little 2-gallon bucket and carry it around in water, whatever, but it drains slowly. It has mosquitoes, and I'm really thinking of bypassing it altogether. And I found a device where I can put it onto the bottom of my canale, and then it has quite a long, flexible hose, like 10 or 20 feet.
Yeah.
So I can get it to my swale, and I think I'm really thinking about decommissioning the rain barrel and getting it straight into the rain basin, because the rain basin feeds the trees.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever. You just want you get that rainwater and get it where to the roots. That's
Yeah.
the bottom line. Get it so it seeps in nice and slowly, which is the best way to water things. One of the least efficient ways of watering things is what we've been doing in Los Ranchos since Spanish colonial times. I'm talking about the 1700s, which is you flood. I'm sure many of you have driven around and just seen. Yeah.
Because
I'll
of
have-
waste.
Yeah, I don't know if it
watering
is-
a lot of stuff that doesn't.
It sure
need
isn't the most efficient. Yeah.
Yeah, with my rain barrel, I cut a couple of trees for drip irrigation, so real slowly,
Mm-hmm.
and it worked real nicely. Also, I have read, as far as mosquitoes, you get these tablets
Mm-hmm.
that probably kills the mosquitoes. So
Yeah, you can get them at Home Depot or whatever, right? Do they work?
Oh, they do.
Does it do anything to the water so it is the water still good for the trees?
because you get
Yes.
so much water, I think it.
It's okay for birds and critters too.
Okay.
Yeah, it's non-toxic all around.
Okay. Because you could also put a little bit of bleach
toxic
in,
to
but that might not
Well,
be good.
it's the bacteria.
Okay.
Yeah.
So bleach will do it too, but yeah, unless you let that boil off, that's not good for your trees. We have, as you're saying, Ray, we have a whole bunch. We have a couple 300-gallon ones. You may have got the 50-gallon ones, and then we have some 250s. We have 3 250s, we have 3 200s, 2 300s, and 3 200s. So we've got a whole bunch of capacity. And sometimes what we'll do, because of the slow drip, and also so you don't have to worry about you turn the hose on and it just keeps going and you forgot, we just put it into a rain barrel, and then we put a hose on it, and that's much less pressure. And as you're saying, a nice slow drip is really what's best for the trees. There was a friend of mine who works for the water district in San Diego County told me to check this book out. It's called Let There Be Water, and you maybe have to be a water nerd or something like that, but it's about how the Israelis have come up with a lot of the techniques that we have for drip irrigation, reverse osmosis, a lot of reclaimed water. For example, the Israelis claim they reclaimed 80% of their water. Las Vegas says some of the casinos say they reclaim 90%. But even if it's 50%, even if it's 60%, that's a lot of water. And I have a feeling in the Albuquerque area, the amount of reclaimed water is probably along the line of 5 or 10%. So there is a whole lot more we can do. But this is an interesting book. And also, here I can hand this around if you're just interested. It's a listing of the acequias in the Los Ranchos area. And some of them say before 1800, which was before the 1811 when the revolution started in Mexico. So it was colonial Spain, and it may very well have been a ditch that was there and the natives came. It's probably dug by natives, you know, at the at the request of the Spanish landowners. So what else I got there? Oh yeah, when it comes to reclaimed water, this is real simple, and I guess maybe the picture's the best thing. This is our lawn. I remember reading when I first came to the Albuquerque, what can we do to reclaim water? And this one article said, don't try to get too fancy. Just try to get what you can, the low-hanging fruit. And this is, you can get it at any office supply store, whatever. Usually use that for recycling, the recycle bin. It fits perfectly next to our washing machine. I have, as you can see, the hose go in there. And so every time you wash you do your laundry, you probably get 8 gallons of water. I don't know how much you do a week. Depends on how big your family is and how many dirty clothes you have and how anal retentive you are about having clean clothes and all that sort of thing. But it turns out to be quite a bit of water. And I went and got some casters and made this little piece of plywood here and a little stand, and we can roll it around so we can take it out in the front porch and put it on the ornamental trees there or in the back. Couple things to keep in mind: if you use bleach, have the bleach go down the drain, not in here. If you're using any kind of weird dyes or whatever, we get this stuff that we're told is biodegradable for laundry detergent. I assume it is, so we're using that. And if you're concerned about too much soap, then you can always use half of this and then put half water, but you just double the amount of water you have for trees and whatnot.
Yeah, the Water Authority in Baltimore actually has a kit that they'll give you free to get from your washing machine grade water. It's got PVC pipes and all kinds of stuff. If you're good into plumbing.
Yeah, where is this?
The 505, the Albuquerque Water Authority.
Okay.
On their website, they actually, tell us which is free, which is if you want to work on it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll poke your-
Yeah, for us it was just easier to do this. I didn't want to drill holes through the wall, and I didn't want to do all that sort of stuff.
Well, the other thing about that kit you can get from 505 is you have to be set up in a certain way.
Yeah.
Like I can't remember, like I think you need to be on an exterior wall or something, because
Yeah.
I was unable to do it the way my stuff is situated, yeah.
But perhaps you could do something like this.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, and it's really great to put that little skateboard that I made underneath of
Yeah.
it and just roll it around. And I've never heard, I've heard some concern about there's a soap's bad. I've also heard that the soap is good. It kind of breaks up the soil and helps with the permeation of the water. I don't know if that's true, but we've not had a problem with it. We've been doing this for a good 5 or 6 years. Mostly it goes on the ornamental plants around the house. And so that's another little water. And again, I mentioned about the acequias. That's all over. Yeah, it's supposed to be very inefficient. And then Kelly has pointed out to me that when you flood, it sometimes compacts the soil.
Oh.
Yeah, and it seems like it does. I've seen that, so it seems like and that's not a good thing to do. When it comes to my trees, are you guys getting a long screwdriver?
Yeah.
Okay. That thing is invaluable. I use that all the time. I'm oftentimes around my trees going to the places where I water the trees. I go and I break up the soil. I don't just jam it in because you might jam into your root, but you go in and you just start moving it around and stuff like that. And that helps break up the soil so that the water gets down there more easily. You also mix sticks and stuff like that with it to break up so it's more permeable. We also have a well, as Kelly has here. Our well is, they drilled down 140 feet and then the pump is sitting at about 80 feet. So it's a fairly deep well. The water table where I live is pretty high because there's, literally from here to about past that fence, there's a small acequia, and then not too far from behind me is a really large one. And just the acequias push water down into the water table. But they shut them off about the end of June and it just started rolling again recently. And I don't know what it's like been here. I saw an acequia that had some water in it, but it may very well have been, it had to be empty in July and early August because there just wasn't any water, as you saw from that picture. The thing about wells is there's no free water. You take water out of the ground, it's got to come from somewhere. And that makes a vacuum, and slowly that'll pull more out of the, if you're near the river, it'll pull some out of the river. It'll pull some, whatever rain came down, whatever. You just can't get free water. and there's a lot of concern in parts of the country. Haven't heard it about Albuquerque yet. For example, has anyone heard about the San Joaquin Valley in California? Yes. What do you know about it?
Well, just what you're saying, like as the water is extracted, like the land is actually compacting and sinking.
Have you ever seen that picture where there's a sign and it's way above a guy's head and it says San Joaquin Valley 1937 or something like that, and it just shows you how much it has subsided. The problem is that once that water's pumped out, because the water underground is really in little pockets here and there, and I know I've had to do some work in my house. I've dug down, and sometimes there's big pockets and small ones and whatever. But if the water's taken out, it compresses, and it's not going to fill back up again. Like for example, the San Joaquin Valley, they can put all the water they want back into it. It'll be a long time before it will have the capacity it had. And it's the same thing with it, and I can't pronounce it. The Olagalo water. What's that?
Oglala.
Please say that.
Oh, the Ogallala Aquifer?
Yeah, Gazoo
I grew
Heights.
up in Nebraska.
Yeah.
Ogallala.
Okay, thank you. That thing, like that is being depleted very quickly as well.
And has been for decades, and
Yes.
nobody cares.
Well, eventually.
People, it's all the agricultural irrigation.
Mhm.
It's just sucking those dry. Center pivots.
The other thing that I found is important, and well, you've seen the. Can you describe what we have around our house with the shade? Do you remember that? The solar shades.
That our sun is so strong.
Yeah.
And it helps to have shade. So
Yeah, they're supposed to fly north. They're supposed to fly north. They don't.
yeah, just that the sun is so strong here that even things that need full sun in the catalog,
Yeah.
actually benefit from a little shade. And so, yeah, I've seen in my trees this summer that sometimes the leaves are small. If you're in direct sun, that the leaves have not grown as big as they did last year. I'm like, okay, I need a little shade.
Yeah. So we've got quite a few shades around our ornamental plants, and if we didn't have them, we would either have to use 2 or 3 times as much water, or they would just be toasted.
So literally, what are you talking about? You're talking about like the woven nylon
Yes.
sail things?
Yeah, the solar sails, I think they call them. Does anyone use those?
I
Yeah.
put them over my vegetables, yeah.
Does it work for you?
Yeah. Yeah, the problem is they're not really water permeable, so it's like what you were saying with your compost covers.
Mhm.
It's like when it's gonna rain, what I really should do is go take that puppy down so
Mhm.
that we can get actual rainwater on the. I just have vegetables in 3 raised beds. I don't have much because I don't have a lot of sun in my yard.
Oh, that's good.
So yeah, I either have way too much or not much at all. So yeah, the whole thing I put it up in late June, and I'm just now thinking about taking it down.
Yeah, we put ours up in middle, end of May, and depending on where it is, and then take them down probably when we get to the equinox, we'll start taking some down.
When you get to what?
The equinox in next week, the 21st, 22nd. Carlos?
Yeah, I use a mesh,
Okay.
like a plastic mesh, and that puts some shade on my veggies,
Mm-hmm.
but also allows some light to filter through. And I've taken it down now about 3 weeks ago.
If you didn't have it there, do you think your vegetables would have been toasted?
Yeah, they would have been stressed, and
Yeah.
I've had years without the mesh that the plants have been stressed, and then the insects descend.
Oh yeah. So the other thing that they're not real permeable. What I notice is that the water will gather and then it'll drip to
Right,
one
'cause
section.
they'll-
Yeah,
yeah.
wherever there's
Yeah,
like
so you have to hope that low point is over
over
a
your
plant.
plants. Yeah, then it'll drip. What doesn't go through is hail.
Yeah.
True.
So if it hails, you just have all this frozen, all these little ice cubes on top of your thing, and it gets heavy. And I go out there and I start hitting the bottom of it with a broomstick or something, so it doesn't
Because
break.
it's really heavy.
Yes, it is. Water's heavy, which is another thing to remember with water barrels. Water's about 8 pounds a gallon. So a 50-gallon container, which isn't real big, which they were handing out for free, that's 400 pounds you fill it up. And then these 300-gallon ones, yeah, that's 2,400 pounds. So it can, you don't want that to fall on you with during your day. The other thing when it comes to shade is I noticed it at the JCC. They have a couple of those trees facing east. They get the morning sun, which is great. Because the air isn't hot yet, but it's getting the sun and it's not really making things too crispy. And those trees are doing really well. And so that's some other ideas to think about when you're planting your fruit trees. The morning sun is good, but as you know, in about July or so, somewhere it's the hottest part of the day is usually about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And so if you're getting a western exposure, you're just getting, the poor tree is getting toasted, and it's not so good. So if there's some planning you can do with that when it comes to especially fruit trees, to make sure they don't, make sure they get a right amount of sun. The catalog can say it can take full sun, but as you said, Betty, it just
Not full New Mexico.
not full like this. Like one thing I've been reading about, this is just a little pet thing of mine, is agrivoltaics. Has anyone heard about this?
Yeah.
Thing under
Yeah.
the
So we put solar panels on the roof of our house, which in the long run is economically is going to pay off, but also, we're not using anywhere near as much. Our carbon footprint's much less. It brings our electric bill down to about $8 a month for like these months. In the summer it might go up a little bit because we have to use a little bit of P&M. But I wanted to put it kind of like this on the southern end of where I have my fruit trees. So I was thinking I can get two things at once. I can get electricity and I can get some shade. And that way when it does rain, the ground will stay moister longer, and I can maybe keep some of the sun off the actual tree itself and not toast the trees. The problem is, as I said, we flood. And Kim, my wife, said, I don't know if it's a good idea to have cables with electricity.
Lying in a flooded area.
Well, it can be done, but that would be, because obviously they have windmills out in the ocean, out off the shore, and it comes underneath the salt. But I'm sure that's specialty cabling and stuff like that. But that could be a real bummer if with the flooding. So this is something I always thought was really neat, and I've nerded out on a little bit. So Carlos, for example, you get some solar panels and put it over your vegetables, and it's kind of like pergola, and you can get some electricity out of it.
Yeah, NMSU has done some research.
Oh, you've done a whole lot of stuff with it. Yeah, Marissa.
Yeah, with the solar panels, the arrays, the big ones,
Yeah.
that they put tomatoes over the crops, so that they'll get the midday shade. Otherwise, they get the sunlight.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to put this right, because in between the solar panels, just wasted the soil anyway.
Mm-hmm. And also, you can put solar panels. I've seen things like this that are mobile. They'll tilt like this, or they'll even move back and forth, like you're saying how you want the shade. And it could be that, okay, it's September, we wanted to have more sun, you just move them off to the side or something like that. But I hopefully this is something we'll see a lot more of. Another thing is we have irrigation canals all through here. They're starting to do it in California where they have big water problems. Over parts of the canals are putting the solar panels. Does two things. It reduces evaporation, keeps the water a little bit cooler because it's in the shade. And two, one of the problems with solar panels up on your roof is as it gets too hot, electricity doesn't like to flow through. It likes to be cold. It likes cold wires. So the internal resistance of the solar panels increases as the temperature goes up. Solar panels work the best on a cool, sunny day. That's when you get the most out of it. So if it's over a reservoir or something like that, or even over your plants, because they're doing transpiration, right? That'll be a little bit cooler. So if you get ambitious and want to start putting some solar panels, think about putting it over your garden, but making it so you can move them back and forth. Okay, where am I now?
Don't the panels have to face south?
Yeah, they usually face south.
So
but
are you getting the east-west protection that you just?
no, you're not going to get the east-west protection.
Okay.
But I'm going to get the southern, or as Ray was saying, you have it over tomatoes for the midday sun blockage.
Oh,
Yeah.
So you
But-
took off part of the stress.
Yeah,
but not
yeah, not completely, but you
Yeah.
take off some of it. But they're kind of mobile, the solar panels?
Well, no. I mean, you could set them early in the season. I think it was like 30 degrees, and
Yeah.
you pin them, but it just stays.
Oh, they're not made to go back and forth. I mean, not made to go east and west. Okay, but they're at 30 degrees,
just
and then in the winter you can make it a little bit higher angle.
Well, the winter time there's no crabs.
Yeah.
Nothing this year.
But if you want to get more electricity, you can make them do this, as
Yeah.
opposed to they're fixed on my roof in my house. But with something like this, you can see they're made to rotate, and you can see the gaps in between them, so some sun gets through. Okay.
So you were gonna put trees under there? Wouldn't they?
The trees are already there, and the trees wouldn't be underneath. But for example, you see this apple tree right here behind you, all those golden delicious apples.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so south is this way. I'm pretty sure south is that way. And you can see if I had some solar panels just to the south of that tree, all that ground underneath of it, when it did get wet, it would stay moisture longer.
I got it.
Okay, and it could also, depending exactly on where you place it and if they're mobile or not, you can make it so that you know, it even shades some of the trunk.
How can they be mobile if you've got hardwired in?
Oh, they're mobile and they have wires. You know, they're cables that can move with it.
By mobile, you mean feet, or are you talking yards?
Probably feet, something like
Okay,
that.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. There's cables that go underneath of it. It's also good for if you have livestock. The Pewaukee Pueblo. Anybody? I remember going there with another group I was with. It was a global warming group. It's called New Mexico 350. But we had a tour of the Pewaukee setup, and they have about an acre or more of solar panels, and you know, grass is growing under there, and they just let the goats go in. But to get the cables, make sure the goats don't chew on the cables, because that would be looks like you're having fried goat tonight.
Shocking,
Yeah,
huh?
yes. They would only do that once, but you know, they have to watch the cables. You have to think these things through. You know?
Right. No.
Yeah.
It's an interesting idea.
Mhm. There's a lot you can do with solar panels in agriculture. I've seen different videos and stuff on it. Hopefully that's the way we'll go in the future. So any questions or comments so far? What kind of fruit trees does anybody have or looking to get?
So I have about 50. I'm right across the river.
Oh, you got quite a few.
Yeah.
What kind?
They're plums, peaches, nectarines, jujubes, persimmons, figs, whatever. I'm just making a weird orchard.
Yeah, we don't have any, what's you call them, jujubes?
Jujubes, yeah.
Okay.
Do you know Graham Davies?
No,
Okay. Flora Farms.
Grandma's awesome.
no.
He's a great guy,
great.
and he's a mile from my house. So if it grows in his
Oh,
yard,
that's tempting.
it'll grow in mine.
Okay.
So I just buy them from him and plant them, and I'm trying to start.
Yeah, are your plums, do they do the coupling where they just, and then all of a sudden one
I've
pops up?
been at it a year and a half.
Okay,
So they're all like this, but they're all
Okay.
surviving.
okay.
Survive, thrive, multiply is what I was taught.
There is, I might be getting a little ahead of myself here, but there is this, tab. There is, escape that.
So when you showed those, I'm like, yeah, I know the afternoon sun's just a killer on everything. I was like, well, I already got solar on my roof, but I don't mind getting more.
Yeah.
But
Do you flood or do you use a well?
I have a bubbler system from a well.
From a well, okay. So then you're not going to flood the whole thing, and so you could
No.
you could think of something like this with the solar panels.
Except
Is
for
this-
the dogs.
Yeah, is this still available on the, okay.
Oh,
Everybody
yeah.
familiar with this?
Oh yeah.
And you read it from front to back, all 385 pages?
I actually did read it.
The whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're not the
Oh.
only one.
It's way at the end.
It's a lot of tables.
Yeah, the tables are the best part. Like you come here, and where's the master list, and then they have the different fruit trees that they're recommending. And I'm seeing not dates. We're not that hot yet, but
Soon.
figs and
Figs are doing
pomegranates.
good.
They do really well here. What's your experience with the pomegranates?
I put them in, they died. I protected them as much as I could, and I'm trying again, but I think it just gets too cold in the valley.
I don't know. I have two. Both are near walls, and
Yeah.
The pomegranates?
yeah,
Okay.
and they did fine. They are maybe 3 years old, and they're just starting to produce.
Anyone else have pomegranates?
I do.
Yeah. And?
They produced the first year and continued. They're facing east and in front of my house, so that there's some heat retention.
I wanted, I'm with my wife. I'm saying she bought the orchard many years ago, and then in 2009, not that many, but 2009, and I showed up some years later, and so she has the trees that were planted there. I don't know if it makes sense to be planting apples much anymore. I don't know if when it comes to planting new trees don't live forever. I don't know if it makes sense to plant apples. I didn't see it on the list of climate-ready trees. I do see figs. We tried the pomegranate, but we only tried one, and it died, but it's kind of coming back now. So we're going to see what will happen. Apricots are on the list,
Yeah.
and so I've been planting some apricot trees. And
But
I
you
like
need
it.
at least 2, right?
I don't know, because we had one apricot tree all by itself, and I know cherries. I believe you do.
Some
For
you
sure.
do, some
Yeah.
don't.
I have a ginormous apricot tree in my backyard. And as far as I can tell, the next closest apricot tree is 3 blocks away. So I don't know if that counts as its
It might
pair,
count, it
but
might
it might.
Yeah, it might. Ours is, we have one that's really big. It's been there by itself. I don't know of any other around. And the main problem with apricots is that they blossom early,
Oh yeah.
and they tend to get.
In 4 years, I've gotten a good crop and a handful. And the other 2 years, I got nothing.
Yeah, this last winter, remember somewhere around April, we had a really cold snap, and it even snowed a little bit. It wiped out parts of some of my trees, so part of my apricot lost its fruit. But I got a little bit. I got maybe a small basket, but it's a big tree. We have 2 new ones. We'll see how it goes. When we get a good year, we get quite a few.
Oh yeah. I've also been, my master gardener friend said that the other threat to apricots is the wind, that the blossoms are particularly susceptible to the spring winds.
Mm-hmm.
So between the winds and the fact that they bloom
Oh, we-
early, it's very iffy.
80-mile-an-hour winds down here.
Yeah.
Blew my greenhouse away.
Yeah, it's not quite as bad in Los Ranchos, but we do get powerful winds, as you know, in the spring. And I did. Okay, this is why we talk about anything you've heard. There's not much you can do about the winds.
Well, it's interesting because the year that I got this super big crop when I was giving apricots to everybody I know and made jam 3 times, that year to the east, the previous owners had, like, we've got in the backyard the, 5-foot concrete wall or whatever. And the previous owners had put an extension that made it like 3 foot taller.
Okay.
And those winds had blown the extension off the wall.
Okay.
And that house over there was owned but empty most of the time, and so we just didn't bother to replace the extension.
Mm-hmm.
And so if that wind hypothesis is true, I have not had a good crop since the fence extension came out.
Okay.
Wow.
So,
Just saying.
okay. So maybe that you need to put it back in, or you put an extension up, and then but use like the solar sail, so the wind gets so it dampens the wind, but it won't blow completely over.
Something, yes.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I got an apricot as a gift,
Uh huh.
and I know how big they get.
Yeah.
I planted it on the north side of my house, but also it gets shade from the next door
Mm-hmm.
house, and it's in a protected from the wind, but it doesn't get quite enough sun to grow quickly. So it's stayed about this high, maybe 3 feet. It grows another inch the next year.
Mm-hmm.
So that's fine for me because
Easy harvesting.
yeah, I don't want a big tree right there, and that's the spot that I had for it.
Very good point. The harvesting. I'll go back to this. I have. How tall is your ginormous apricot tree?
Oh, it's more than twice the height of the house.
Okay.
I have a single-story house.
Yeah. So we have. I'll lower this now.
Okay, maybe not more than. It's twice the height of the house. I can't imagine how old this thing must be. I'm terrified that it's going to start dying. That it's just like
Oh.
old.
Well, it will.
But it's gorgeous right now.
Okay. It will. Everything dies. So
I know.
yeah. So
I'm planning for succession. I've planted 2 trees at the drip line of my giant apricot.
yes. Yeah. That's exactly what we're starting to do, and that's what I'm saying. Look at the climate-ready trees and what trees they're recommending. So, you have figs also?
Yeah, I got 4 figs now.
And they doing okay? Oh,
Yeah.
but they're brand new, right?
Well, last year Graham trimmed it all the way back because of the frost, and it came up and we had figs last year.
Okay.
Huh?
Yeah,
But the
I've
rest
got
of them seem to
figs
be
there.
doing good.
I discovered I have like 5 or 6, or every time a new twig comes out, I feel compelled to like, try it.
Yeah, they don't make it in the house very often.
And so the ones that are in the ground have been a little more resilient than the ones that are in a raised bed. And the raised bed dries out faster, gets cold faster.
Okay.
And so, yeah, the ones in the ground have done better. And even if it's cold and it dies back, in the winter, it comes back like a fig shrub
Okay.
in the summer.
That's
And you get
amazing.
your fruit?
They're blossoming right about now.
Yeah, usually 2 harvests a year.
So we haven't planted any yet, but my stepdaughter, she bought a house and just happened to be there. Yeah, she oftentimes gets quite a lot of figs, and she has pomegranates too.
So
And she doesn't
She's
do
ready.
anything. She doesn't do anything to her trees. We have to go over there and take care of them for her. This is an example of a ginormous. This thing is probably twice as high as a 1-story house or more. And this is one of my 70-year-old trees.
Nice.
And if where I am, there's a couple other apple orchards, and the people that have obviously been taking care of them, because my wife bought this house, these trees were already there. They were just growing and growing and growing. They hadn't been properly pruned. And is Evan Baker still involved with Tree New Mexico?
I'm trying to contact him for
Okay.
Yeah.
last week's of the labs.
Okay. He's really good with pruning.
He's awesome.
Yeah, he's like a squirrel in a tree. He does it, and he says, I do not touch ladders. And he says, I don't go on ladders. My wife is a retired medical ER doctor, and she doesn't like ladders too, because she's seen many bad results. But what Evan does is he throws a rope over over a branch, and then he puts a harness on, and he climbs his way up, and he's amazing. But he went up and he did do some trimming, and I learned a lot from him. You can trim as much as maybe 25% of a tree at a given time, if you really need to. And these were really out of control, and he trimmed them back. But if you do more, but if you do something like a big trim, it might shock it so much you're not going to getting fruit that year.
I just have an announcement. I'm leaving, and I'm going to close the gate. So when you leave, you just have to be close enough to the gate to trigger it, and it opens towards you. So just it opens towards you.
Close, not too close.
Don't get too close. Just close enough to trigger it.
Okay, and be prepared to go in reverse with no one right on your tailgate. Yeah.
Just keep it in reverse. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that was it.
Okay.
Okay.
Good seeing you again,
Thanks,
Kelly.
Kelly.
I'll see you Thursday night.
Yes. So I remember the first time he came into our orchard, he went ahead and he just really loved the trees. He said how old they were, but he took about a third, 25% of each tree of our old trees, like this size. We have 3 about this size, and he took it off. And sure enough, there was no fruit that year, but the next year came back quite a bit more. But ever since then, I haven't been as good as I'm supposed to. Everything I've read is if you have a fruit tree, you should do at least 10% pruning of branches every year, maybe as much as 20. And everything I've read, and do you have any comments on that, Ray?
Not, but I've helped her reach with pretty. As a matter of fact, she's chosen the last couple of years to prune much lower, so they're like at that 7 feet high, so that the fruit is more available, and then kids can also just pick the fruit.
Right. So I'm trying to. This tree, there's fruit on the top of it right now, but I'm not going to break my neck to get an apple. Okay. So I'm going to trim this thing back.
Well, the birds need food too.
Yeah, it's okay. I should be nice to the birds. I agree. But just don't go after my peaches. I don't like that. Yeah.
I got a raccoon. They ate all of my my nectarines.
Really? Got a bunch of fat raccoons down there, huh?
He left 4 seeds and ate the rest, so it's not happy.
The other thing you might notice is that the trees are painted white. Has anybody heard about that? The reason why?
Sunburn.
Well, yeah. What I've did a Google search and I found there's several ones. What did you hear about, Ray?
Well, again, not mine, but at Maurice's orchard, yeah, all the ones that are facing south. Yeah, just one side, most of it is painted white with latex, and that seemed to work.
And that's Marissa, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you had a session with her yet? From New
Yeah,
Mexico
just
State?
last night she did some, and
Okay.
we're doing the lecture videos.
Okay, she's really good. In our session, I remember I asked her about the white on the trees, and she said the sunburn. It's also there's a phenomenon that can happen in the spring. You got the sun on the southern part of the tree, and this is south facing right here. You can see this big gash in it, in this old tree. So in the mid-spring, early spring, might be sun on your tree, and the tree warms up. The sap starts flowing. It gets cold at night. Water expands when it freezes. Crack, crack, crack. That's the main reason I heard. The other is it's kind of like in the middle of the summer, I'd rather wear a white shirt than a black shirt, just to keep cooler. I also read that depending on what exactly the insects are, they might be a little less, it's not going to completely protect it, but they'll be a little less inclined to try to bore into it. And we've been doing this for a couple of years, and I can't prove it, but I've never seen a borer where the paint was. I've seen borers in other places on the trees, because we only paint towards the bottom. And we don't, and the thing I remember Marissa saying on this teleconference we had, she said, get inexpensive interior latex paint. Don't get oil-based paint or enamel. You want it to be able to stretch. You cut it in half with water, so it's real, kind of runny paint, and then you paint it on the tree. My wife did all sides of it, but it kind of looks nice. But that's also going to protect us against the borers, and also sometimes rabbits and stuff will chew on the bark, and they're going to be less likely to chew on it if you have paint. But definitely the south side is what you want to get on your tree.
Also, Marisa also pointed out, especially like an orchard like hers, got a lot of trees. The ones at the edge will get more sun, so you actually got to make sure that they're really coated better, because they will shade the ones behind them.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So it's the ones on the edges is you want to shade. Again, that's what I was thinking about with my solar panels on the edges, in the southern part, kind of reduce some of the exposure there. So this is the formula: 1/2 interior latex, 1/2 water, and you just paint it up. This is our apricot behind. This thing is way high, and again, I can't harvest it. So if your trees are low, it makes it a lot easier. And all my other trees, I'm doing my best. I'm not short, I'm efficiently sized. So as high as I can reach and then clip, and that's where I'm trying to keep it. Okay. So pest control. Does anybody have apples? Okay. We have apples here. What do you use for pest control?
I've just gotten started, so I don't.
Okay.
I was going to ask, what do you use?
I think I asked you
That's
this
why I'm
question before or just after I started. I told
Okay.
you about my apple
Oh, yeah,
trees
and I
and
sent
moths.
you and I sent you the, okay. So what I've done for that is, what did I do with my bucket? Is there a blue bucket down
There's
there?
a-
It is. Okay. What we have is, this is one thing I've done, is I get these containers, cut a little hole in them on the side here, and I put in, I have the formula in your notes, and it's 2 parts water, 1 part apple cider vinegar, and 1/3 molasses, a drop of soap for emulsification, and a drop of ammonia. I think it gives it more whatever. And I put it in here, and I hang it in the tree. I try to use a nice wide shoestring so it's not digging into the branch too much. Kelly hates it when you put tags on trees. I don't. Try to be very careful with that. And I cut the little hole in here, and the codling moths will go inside, and sometimes even the scarab beetles will. Are you familiar with the scarab beetles?
Yeah.
What do they look like, huh?
Are they
Greenish,
the
big.
ones?
Yeah, they're beautiful, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those little bastards, I want to kill every one of them slowly.
I know.
They're these beautiful, beautiful, big things. They have this funny sound to them. Remember when I first moved here, I thought, oh, those are beautiful trees. And then I had the peaches,
Oh, yeah.
and they know exactly when it's right.
That's
And-
what we saw them in Los Lunas when
Yeah.
we went
Oh,
over there.
that-
They
they
were
were
just
covered,
face
yeah.
deep
They
in
Yeah,
the
oh,
peach.
I have literally been by my peach tree, and I hear one of these things goes, zzz, and you hear the splotch as it goes into the. That was my perfect peach that I was about to pick, and that little went in there. Well, anyways, it'll catch them. It'll catch the codling moths. When it comes to these kind of traps, I looked up, said make sure you're not getting any beneficial insects. I've gone through here and I've now taken them down. Where did that one go? Oh, it looks like it spilled out. But at the end of the year, I went ahead and I diluted, after a couple weeks, it just turns into a goo on the bottom. Because everything evaporates, it's just mostly molasses. But then I'll put a little bit of water on there and you'll see I see moths inside. And sometimes those beetles. And I say, okay, that's one less apple that got a colony moth, that's one less peach that got eaten by a beetle.
Do you know how this works? Because you're putting an acid in a base with sugar.
How does it work?
I don't know. I'm asking.
It works fine.
The bugs are attracted to the molasses.
I guess it's the smell of the apple and the molasses. I
They
just
drown.
yes, they just say, "Oh, this is wonderful," and they go in and they drowned in it.
No, this is
What?
no. You're saying, oh, this is wonderful. The bugs.
Yeah. Oh, like I said, they're not getting my apples, they're not getting my peaches.
And how
What?
many would you put up?
I put any apple tree that has apples on it, I put one on.
Okay.
And I put one around my peach tree. This year only one peach tree had some fruit, so I put one around the peach tree. And so far so good. I had to make sure I get the right kind of, one time I got apple cider vinegar that, I think it said reduced acid or something like that, and it didn't work as well. So,
I did the pheromone traps.
yeah, the pheromone traps, and
It caught a lot of moths, but we still had infestation on the apples.
yeah,
So we should have used the vinegar traps, but my partner has an aversion to the smell of vinegar.
okay, then maybe you got to mix it.
Yeah.
I mean, you do it outside, you won't smell it. They're just the bugs do. I was going to say the pheromone traps. I think I have a link in here. I have it here. When it comes to this test, where are we? Okay, here. Yeah, these are the scarab beetles, the beautiful green beetles. Yeah, they're beautiful, but they do not miss. And then I have the reference here from New Montana State University. Obviously, they have different winters than we do, but they have a pretty good explanation of the colony moth cycle, what you can do. One thing you can do is the traps. They mention the pheromone traps, but they say the main thing you do that for is to see if you have a problem or to monitor the amount. It does a little bit of pest control, but they're relatively expensive. They're not cheap. I think they're maybe $10, $12 each at least. Whereas for
For a
that
pack
amount of
of
money,
two.
you can buy a bunch of molasses and empty cartons of milk and whatever, and catch a whole bunch more. And they're using it in Montana State to see how many. They're trying to correlate the temperature as to when the moths come out. And there's something they call degree day, which is how many days you are into the year and then what the temperature has been. So they're trying to figure out, instead of putting the pheromone traps up, they want to, in the state of Montana, figure out, okay, at this temperature, this is the time when you have, let's say, maybe it's 50 degrees Fahrenheit. If you have 2 or 3 days as a high of that, you're probably going to have the moths. Then you start doing your pest control. Because they go into a life cycle, and one of the things that they say is organic. Oh, that's molasses from one of the things that fell over. Boy, I got a mess on my hands.
Literally.
Yes, literally.
Spinosad.
Spinosad. Or spinosad. I'm not sure how to spell it. Okay. So this is, they say this is organic, and it's biodegradable, and I spray that on, and when it comes to something like that, crazy idea, but read the instructions, because if you spray day after day after day after day, you're wasting it, because it depends on when you get them in the life cycle. You have to, I think it's every 2 weeks or something. Let me get some water on this. I've learned to always carry a gallon of water with me wherever I go.
Yeah.
Because I'm a slob.
Do you have a bathroom?
I'm sure there is. I don't know where Kelly's bathroom is. I'm sure there is one.
The house is probably locked. since
It
you
might be,
left.
yeah. So the answer is yes, there is. I just don't know where it is.
For a walk or something.
Yeah, do Should I take a break?
No, it's okay.
Okay.
You can keep going. I'll
Alright.
be back quickly.
Okay. Do you need any water or anything? Okay.
I grew up on a farm.
Okay. So the other thing you can do, it's in this article, it talks about banding your trees, your trunk. You can get cardboard, or they say you can use burlap. And here they say you put it in right about July and you take it down in October. So here maybe we would put it in now and take it off in November or something. But when the codling moths come down, when it's the end of the year, the cycle breaks and they go dormant over the winter. They will put these little cocoons on the bark. But if you have it wrapped with burlap, or if you have it wrapped with really good corrugated cardboard, they will put the cocoons in there. And you can take it off. Okay, and now you have that many fewer codling moths starting the next spring, which is a good way of doing things without damaging anything.
Would the white paint work for that? For keeping them off the bark?
It might. I mean, I haven't. Now that you mentioned, I don't remember seeing any cocoons on where I've painted it. But I can tell you one. But I mean, sometimes they go all the way down to the ground. Is what I think they're trying to do.
Oh, I
Sometimes
see.
they might stop on the tree. Or I'm not sure where they go. But anyways, I have codling moths every year. This year my apples came in pretty good because last year we had almost no apples. There was some frost that killed them, and so I don't think there's as many to start the year. And secondly, I got on top of the traps, and I got on top of the spraying with the spinosad. And do you have a sprayer for your orchard?
No, my trees are all about my height.
So you haven't bothered with it yet?
Yeah, they don't know we're there
Okay.
yet. I had on the farm last year. We had grown zucchini. I'm like, oh, this is easy. Well, I didn't have any squash bugs last year. Squash bugs came this year and took everything out.
Yes.
So that's why I'm trying to figure out what I'll need to do. This paint thing is interesting, but they were talking about sparkles last month.
Sparkles?
Yeah, Marisa was
Glitter.
talking about
Okay.
adding glitter to the white paint to see if that was more
Gonna help
effective.
or be prettier.
Well, it makes it prettier, but I assume it's going to reflect light.
Yeah.
But I just don't know if it's made out of plastic. If you want that. in the environment.
She said it was biodegradable glitter.
Okay.
Oh
Okay.
my.
I don't know. There's
I like the idea of kaolin clay too.
I'm sorry.
Using kaolin clay to paint the trunks white.
Yeah, that
Okay.
sounded better to me than paint. But I did use neem oil, but I ended up hurting my plants more than I got rid of the bugs.
Oh, really?
If you leave it on the leaves, it'll start burning them.
That's undiluted. neem.
No, I was diluting. It just, you could see where the neem oil had hit, and then you read about it, and it's a problem. So I don't know if that's on trees as well. This was just for pumpkins and watermelons.
We use this on ornamental plants. We use it on the basil.
Uh-huh.
You say basil or basil?
You could say
Basil.
Are you pretentious?
Basil.
No, basil.
Basil.
Basil. Okay. I think that's what it was. Saint Basil is one of the cathedrals.
There you
Anyways,
go.
basil. Yeah, the basil, tomato. So we put it on that. And we put it on our hollyhocks because the grasshoppers just go for it.
Yeah.
We've never had any problems with that. I've used this a little bit on the trees. Instead, use this, for example, if you have aphids. And definitely use it on the roses. What I found this year, finally. Oh, remember Bree at the JCC? She's had all those aphids. I'm sorry, the woolly aphids.
Yeah.
It's really strange. It's they're called woolly aphids, and it looks more like cotton. And where I live, there's a lot of cottonwoods, and there'd be this like fluffy cotton stuff on my plum trees. And I was like, oh man, why did the cottonwoods just hitting this tree? It was the aphids. And so what I found, and Google's a wonderful thing, and YouTube, is if I do it when I have aphids, if the blossoms are off but there's not any fruit, just a good high, just put your hose on there, and you can get 80% of them off. And then when the fruit's there, you want to be careful because you might knock your fruit off as it's starting to grow. I didn't want to do that. They then have recommended you can get, and I've seen it. Oh, this is a mess. don't do this at home. Is they call it bio soap or something like that. You can get it at Lowe's. It's really just Castile soap. So the Castile soap works great also. So you just get some of this. There's the Dr. Bonner's
Oh, yeah.
with all that crazy written up. It's the same thing as this, but his costs more. And this is I got at Smith's for, maybe almost half the price. So you mix that. I forget exactly what it is. I think it was 4 tablespoons per gallon or something like that. I always have to look it up when I do it. And you put it in your sprayer. When it comes to a sprayer, you have quite a few trees.
Yeah.
There's these sprayers that are like these little barrels, and you go like this, and you walk around, you spray.
Right.
I went through 2 of those things and said, these cheap things they're no bargain. I call it the Ghostbuster
Back
backpack.
one? Okay.
Yeah, so the Ghostbuster backpack, you put on, you get this thing goes like this, and you spray them. They cost more, but I've had it for years now. And I think that's worth, if you have any substantial number of trees. Otherwise, if you just have a couple trees in your backyard, you can just get a hand sprayer and you can get a lot of it off.
How high can you get with those?
I can't get the tallest tree at the top,
Right.
but I can get pretty damn high. That's an answer to you.
PDA.
Pretty damn high. Yeah, and you can adjust the spray on it, and it'll be a fine spray, and it'll go up quite a bit.
So you invest now, and you don't have to keep buying. Because I bought like 30 of those. They just break every year. The nozzle gets clogged.
Yeah, and they probably cost a lot more than it is now.
$20.
20, 30, 40 bucks. But you already gone through 2 or 3 of them. I call it the Ghostbuster backpack. That thing costs probably 90 or something like that. But it does the job. You do have to, crazy idea, read the instructions. You have to make sure that you flush it out after every use. And it works. They work
You
really
use
well.
a neem oil in there,
I've used neem oil in there. I've used the spinosad in there. I've used the soap in there.
and you mix them in the same one.
Well, I'll rinse it out each
Okay.
time. But a little bit of soap mixed in with the spinosad isn't going to hurt anything.
Right.
So it works just fine.
Okay.
And I've read somewhere where some people with neem oil, they'll put a little bit of soap in to be emulsifying effect.
Yeah, it won't. Yeah, it's an oil, and you mix it with water. You
Yeah.
need to do the soap thing.
Yes.
Okay.
But yeah, go ahead and get yourself a good sprayer. I saw one at Lowe's. It was something very extensive, and maybe you might need this if you really want to get high. It's I think it had like a little engine on it or something, an electric motor on it, and you could, I imagine, it has a huge range.
Yeah, I'm not allowed on ladders because I did fall and rip my shoulder apart.
Yeah.
So I'm just recovered from that. Maybe I'll hire someone.
You just
Anybody
mix
wanna
it up.
Spray trees?
Okay.
I'll do it.
Okay.
Okay. I have a spray too.
Oh, sweet. Right now they're easy.
Mhm. But yeah, but don't, and then keep your prune your trees. Don't let them get too hot.
Yeah. I'm kind of lazy.
Okay.
I don't mind giving half of it to wildlife. That's why
Okay.
I started it. but
That's fine.
I'm happy with that. I just, spraying a lot of this stuff up in the air and being underneath makes
It
me a
comes-
little
Yeah.
nervous.
Yes. That's
And-
understandable.
and,
This stuff's supposed to be safe, but supposed to be.
Well, organic, I can make a lot of compounds that'll kill you that
Yes.
are organic.
Yeah. Snake
So,
venom is organic.
That's a meaningless phrase when they say that.
Yeah.
Biodegradable, yeah. All organics decompose in
Eventually.
sunlight. Yeah.
Yeah.
so-
Sticky foot.
Sorry,
That's
you're probably gonna get there, but I'm just.
no. I'm glad you're
dying
asking
of
that.
curiosity.
It was something I saw with when I was again. I've only been doing this since probably 2018. I started looking into it. It was a YouTube I saw, and this person from wherever it was, and that's where I got the idea about the little milk cartons. And then talked about this pheromone traps, but again, they're expensive and they work, but they're really just to tell you have a problem. If you have an apple tree anywhere in New Mexico, you're going to have codling moths. You don't need the pheromone traps. Sticky foot, you buy these red balls, hang them from your tree, and you put this. It's sticky stuff, and the moths are supposed to come and say, "Oh, that's an apple. I'm going to go ahead and put my egg in there," and they get stuck.
Yeah.
It's kind of like they used to have those terrible mouse traps where that was. Yeah.
Will
Well,
that,
that was
work
me,
with
yeah.
all the dust blowing around here?
I bought that and it didn't work for me.
Yeah,
I didn't get a
'cause
single one. And
it's
maybe
the
it was the
dust.
dust.
The
or-
dust is just going to destroy that.
Right.
So I don't know if it was the dust.
I like your milk carton idea. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's worth a try. But yeah, I tried the sticky foot and it didn't work for me. And it could be something about here in New Mexico with, you get dust in your house?
Oh yeah, I
Oh,
have
really?
people with horses. Where are you from?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the horses just make the finest dust in the world, and they attract all the flies you can imagine. And
Yeah.
and then with 80 to 90 mile an hour winds, it's coming in your house.
Yeah, and I think that sticky foot, whatever the solvent is, probably evaporates too quickly in this
Oh
super
yeah, it
dryness,
probably
and
dries out like
and it just is just
nothing.
like paint on it or something like that, so it doesn't work. So I don't think it works here in New Mexico. It might work back in New Jersey or Washington State, but not here. What else was getting on here? Pheromone trap, sticky foot. Oh, nets. Has anyone tried nets to stop the critters from birds from getting your food, getting your fruit? Yeah. So we've done that on our peaches, and the interesting thing is, and it makes sense, I can't prove it, but it sure seems to me when we put these nets on there, they ripen so much more slowly. I think you're blocking the sun. It seems that way to me. But my wife and I got the nets. We love our peaches, and we go ahead and put it over. You know, we have one tree that's too big, so we have one net going here, one net going there. You can buy them in Amazon or a garden store, or you can go to a sporting goods store and get mosquito net, which is relatively inexpensive. It works. You know, the bugs aren't going to get through. Takes a while for it to ripen. The birds aren't going to get through. But if you want to feed the birds, you can leave, you know, a couple. Give yourself some pears or peaches and some, you know, whatever you want to use the nets. But the nets work.
Yeah.
Is the point. It's you got to be careful putting them on and taking them off. That you're not, you know, ripping off all the leaves and everything. But that's the only thing we've been able to do on our peaches to keep them from these little, beautiful, nasty bugs getting my peaches. But it's worth a try. Again, you can order them on Amazon, or you can go to a camping goods store. And
So a lot of the netting, the plastic netting for the vegetables that we were growing, we bought the plastic shade, and they came at different UV permeability.
like an SPF factor.
So I
almost.
bought a 50, but you could get a 30 or a 20. Do you have a rating on some of these nets you tried, or do they?
I don't think that was included in it.
Okay.
I think especially the most recent one we got was only like $20 for a net. And
Okay, so they just made a net.
They made net, yeah. It's
But
a
some of the
nylon net.
more specialized ones you could actually
Probably could.
control.
And get a little bit more
More
UV
sun,
and
less
yeah, a little bit
shade.
more ripening. Yeah.
Yeah, I went for the most I could get without, but it slowed the tomatoes last year way too much.
Okay.
But that might be the peaches. There might be something you could buy that's maybe a 20% shade and a net at the same time.
Yeah. Nets, and the next thing, tree pruning. Again, this is one of the most important things. And I'm sorry, what's your name again?
Tim.
Tim. You don't want to prune your trees.
No,
You just
do
need
you know
to hire
John
somebody.
Garlish?
Too small.
I'm sorry.
Do you know John Garlish?
No.
Okay, he's the Bernalillo County Extension Officer. He does a lot of NMSU
Okay.
outreach stuff. He's a friend of mine, and he's come down and he just starts makes me very nervous.
Does he use rubbing alcohol when he goes from tree to tree?
No. Oh, he cleans his blades, yeah.
Okay, that's. I just started doing that the last couple of years. I didn't know how important it was.
Yeah.
But it kind of makes sense. For example, I just had a little bit of surgery on my knee, and I do hope they clean the instruments before they put it in there.
My wife's a surgeon. She says they don't. It's
Okay.
just a facade.
Okay.
I'm joking.
Yeah, Lysol is good too.
I'm sorry.
Lysol.
Oh, Lysol will clean it up. Yeah. So you wipe it down a little bit, and
For
because
your
you know
knee?
it could, there's viruses that infect trees. There could be bacteria that hits trees.
Right.
You know? Yeah. And so there could be some microbes. I know that I went one time. It was a small orchard in Corrales. It was a volunteer thing. Kelly called me up and said, "Can you go do blah blah blah?" I said, "Okay." I couldn't say no to Kelly, and so everybody there, because I brought mine from my orchard, definitely made sure we wiped
Right,
down all the
right.
blades. Within your own orchard, if it's small, is it as important? It might be spreading anyhow. I don't know, but I've been doing it. and it doesn't seem like it hurts much. But again, I've been told that's one of the most important things you can do when you have a fruit tree. You don't want to. You're thinking, oh, but if I cut that branch, there goes my apricots, there goes some apples. But if you don't prune it, your tree's going to be a mess. And it's important wherever the branches cross in the winds, they're just going to rub, and that's going to open the bark.
Isn't it also promote fruiting? Because like peaches only grow on new branches, right?
I've heard that it's required. It encourages fruit growth, unless, of course, like I said, if you have to do a radical amount, you might shock it.
Right.
But if you do a 10-15% pruning, yeah, it seems everything I've read said yes, that helps.
I can't wait till I have that problem. I want to be able to prune. They're just so new.
And you're supposed to do it like a red wine glass. So it goes out like this, and it's open, and the branches aren't crossing inside, so the air and the sun can get inside. We don't have to worry too much about the sun getting inside. We have plenty of it. But I guess the air helps circulate, and it's supposed to make them a lot healthier. And I've been doing it every year, and again, I usually go for at least 10 or 15, 20%.
Also, with fruit that's going to be heavy like peaches, you don't want the branches to be too long because they will break.
Yes.
If they're too long.
But I have a book, and each chapter is a tree, and each one has a different pruning method.
Uh-huh.
So you don't prune the same for an apple and a peach. They're all
Correct, because they grow differently.
they grow and you prune them differently. So
So that
each tree's its own story.
the family, the peaches and plums grow more outward. The apples and pears grow more with the central leader. But sometimes we try to get central leader for the prunus family, and there's a lot of debate about whether you should prune them open or prune to a central leader. And it depends on what part of the country you're in and what, how moist the air is. And so I think each tree, each situation is individual. And so you take what the book says, but you look at your environment and you adjust accordingly.
Mm-hmm. And I think one thing that's for sure, but I think something that's true across the board is you do need to prune them. So don't be afraid to prune. You definitely don't want them crossing. And I think it says the DDD, dead, damaged, and deranged. You cut those off.
Going down.
Yeah, all kinds of weird stuff. Or as you said, Ray, if you can see when they're getting too long. And also there's pruning of the actual fruit when you get the fruit on there. I mean, it's a good problem to have. And I remember the first couple of years I was doing this, it was, oh man, you want me to get rid of apples? You want me to get rid? But a couple times I have, and then just what you talked about, just the past year, there was a branch that was too high up and I wasn't going to break my neck for it. It just has so many apples, all of a sudden, the whole thing comes down and all the apples. Oh, you have koalas on your socks.
Oh yeah.
Those are
in
cool.
little teacups.
That's excellent.
If anyone wants to see.
I think if you have a cluster of 3 or 4 apples, take one. It's kind of a rule of thumb.
Marisa mentioned last night about it depends. Often we prune late winter for fruit trees, but it depends on what you want. Are you trying to encourage growth? In which case pruning in late winter will encourage more growth, or are you trying to maybe restrict growth and direct it, in which case pruning in the fall is fine. So it depends on why you're pruning, and so again it's kind of understanding what your goal is.
If Marissa says something, take her word over mine any day. She knows what she's doing. Yeah. So I don't remember hearing that before in the class. In 2021 when we did.
I don't know. It was just a commentary,
Mhm.
in a discussion.
I have a feeling she has so much in her head we could spend hours.
Exactly.
And probably several times, and
Exactly.
maybe it'd start getting a tenth of what she knows. Yeah. So it used to be, like you're saying, you do it in the late fall and the winter is what I was told to do, the pruning. But I've been hearing some, and I know Kelly was very much an advocate of this, you really want to start pruning closer to late winter and early spring because the tree's starting to come back to life and it can fill out again. But I guess this is a nuance on that. Do you want to
Do you want it
Rest-
to fill out?
Or yeah, do you want it to fill out, or do you want it to, kind of control which direction it's going in?
Yeah, and Graham was awesome just listening to him in pruning, looking at where's the bud,
Oh,
and
yeah.
pruning so that you direct the growth of the bud outward.
Mhm.
And so there are all sorts of nuances. And yeah, so whenever there's an opportunity to work with any of the arborists, in a workshop, I would take it.
Take it, and I know Kelly has said this, and you ask 5 different arborists, you'll get 5 or 6 or maybe 10 different answers. And a lot of it will be, it depends on your situation. Is it too much sun for everybody?
Uh-huh.
You want to move over
I
here?
am in a direct
Well,
line.
are we
Nice
gonna
and
be
warm.
touring soon, or are we gonna be sitting here for a while? It's almost 10.
It's almost 10. How long am I
Yeah.
supposed to go to?
Hour and a half. Yeah,
Okay.
we're at hour and
Yeah, 'cause I'm
15.
gonna have to go to.
Okay,
Los
okay.
Lunas.
Alright,
So that
you
was,
got
the next thing I want to talk about
We're
is,
gonna go down and look
you
at
also
the
have to
site
do
for the
fruit
trout.
thinning, when you start getting a bunch of little peaches or apples. And as Ray was saying, if you have a cluster of 2 or 3, make it only 1, especially for the codling moths and for pest control, so they don't go from one to another. Last thing I have on here is what to do with all that, I'm sorry, what's your name again?
Terry.
Terry. So Tim and Terry. Okay, so you had buckets and buckets of apricots. What do you do with it? And hopefully you have that problem, and you can eat it, of course. Give it to all your friends. There's homeless shelters that will take fruit. Freeze it. You can dehydrate it, and something I learned a couple years ago is you can start the dehydration process in your car. Roll up the windows, put it on a flat pan. It'll do about half the job, and then you can use. I have a fruit dehydrator, but that way I use less electricity. You got to start. And the inside of my truck smelled like like apricots.
That'd be nice. Peaches.
Yes. And then the last thing I have here is the whole thing about we need to transition. It's just that simple.
You
Again,
think apple trees aren't gonna grow in zone 9?
I'm looking at this and I don't remember seeing apples. I mean, looking at
They grow everywhere. That's why I like them.
yeah, apples go. They do very well, but I noticed that they use a lot of water. I know that, and this year when I couldn't give them as much water, I was pulling some out of the ground, which I didn't like doing. But especially these big things, they need gallons and gallons and gallons of it. So at Tor, I don't really know Kelly's orchard very well. I mean, there's some cherry trees here and some apple trees, but and I know she uses, I think, almost exclusively well water. I don't think she has any acequia or canal access. So anyways, that's just the short chat I had, and I mostly wanted to make sure you guys know, and if you're getting information from Marissa, definitely she's about as good a source as any you'll find, and it depends.
Yes.
Right.
That's where we hear a lot in this
Yeah.
class.
Yeah.
Totally.
So we can answer that on the test, right?
There's no answer.
Oh, you have that. Oh, the dreaded final.
100 questions.
Is it hard?
100 questions.
No, it was fine.
Yeah, then the answer is
fine.
I'm bad at it.
Well,
Well,
I
it's
don't know.
always
You got
water.
a new. I don't know about
depends.
Carlos, but Kelly was pretty easy.